I'm joined by Dr. Casey Harbine of St. Pat's for another edition of Morning Rounds. Thanks for waking up with us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Today we're talking about vaping-induced lung injury. Of course, we're hearing a lot about vaping illness and vaping injuries. First question, smoking e-cigarettes and vaping. It seems to be causing an epidemic of respiratory illnesses. Explain that to us.
Right, so really in the last few months over the summer, there have been at least 800 or more cases of a respiratory illness thought secondary to vaping, and more than 10 deaths, actually. This is probably an underestimate of really exposure and lung injury due to vaping. The majority of the people who are coming down with this tend to be young people, 60% under the age of 30, and it's really quite scary.
So what is a vaping-induced lung injury then?
So it's probably some sort of chemical from the e-cigarette or the vaping that either is in the manufacturing of it or occurs when it's heated that injures the lung, causes something that acts a little bit like pneumonia, but no infection is actually found. Has some characteristic imaging findings, things on CAT scans and things like that. But really there isn't any sort of specific definition. It's just when you see the severe lung injury in people who are vaping and no other infectious or other causes found.
Are there treatments yet?
So it's so new. Really there's no specific medicine that we're aware of that can help. Some people have been treated successfully with steroids, but it's so emerging. We're just learning more about it each day.
Do we know what's causing it?
No, we think it's some sort of chemical. It could be, there have been thoughts that maybe, vitamin E that's sometimes in the process. It seems like maybe there's more injury from people who have products that have been modified, sort of on the side, sold in not actual regular places that sell these things, that sort of stuff.
So are some products more risky than others?
Right, so there's a higher incidence, we think, in products that contain THC or CBD. So there's been some suggestion, but some people are coming down with the illness who've had no exposure to that.
What's the prevention?
So probably not smoking, not using vaping. Certainly, if you do, not buying them, from like on the streets or something like that, not buying modified products is probably a good idea.
All right, well, thank you for joining us and answering some of those questions this morning. If you have any questions you'd like us to answer, you can email them right to us, morningrounds@kpax.com.